Welcome to Tyrannosaurus Riffs. My name is Brandon, and today we are going to check out the EVH Iconic. The EVH Iconic is powered by 4 6L6 power tubes and 2 12AX7 preamp tubes. It is an 80 watt amplifier, switchable down to 20 watts, and featuring 2 channels. Now across the front of the amplifier you've got your insert, your channel 1 and 2 selection, your gain 1 and 2, with 1 having the overdrive for your green channel, and 2, your red channel having a burn, which is going to give you up to a 10 dB boost. Your noise gate works for channel 2 only. You've got a shared band EQ with your low, mids, and highs for both channels. Each channel features its own volume, and the boost again is for channel 2. You've got a shared reverb, resonance, and presence, along with your quarter power switch. On the back of the amplifier, you've got your power amp mute, a speaker emulated XLR, your ground lift, your preamp out, your effects loop send and return, your foot switch, and then your load impedance, and then your parallel speaker outputs. Now, as always, there are chapters below, so if you want to skip around through the video, feel free to do that. But before we jump into a playthrough, let's check this out in a quick mix. Alright, I hope you're all doing well out there. Thank you for being here to check out the EVH Iconic with me. This is EVH's full-size rendition of the PV5150 or 6505s brought to modern times. This has got a few different features, but ultimately it's a pretty similar amp. It's not the exact same thing, but it also was not meant to be the exact same thing. So this is a pretty cool amplifier. I've had it for quite a while now, and I've not had any issues with it. It's been great. It sounds great. And honestly, if you listen to bands like the Black Dahlia Murder, the Iarda's Murder, all the murder bands, if you're into murder, those guys are using these live. I know that Brandon Ellis uses one, and sounds fantastic. He even uses the EVH cabs. Now, I've got everything set to noon. We're just going to kind of jump in and get going with this. For the signal chain, this is a Schecter Hellraiser Hybrid FRS with the Ryan Fluff Bruce Fishman bridge pickup. We've got a Sustainiac in the neck, and this is tuned to drop C because that is my jam. And we're going to kind of go through the settings real quick. So everything's at noon. Shared band EQ. Not my favorite thing in the world, but it's also not the end of the world. So we'll check out the green channel and then we'll move over to the red, okay? The guitar is running straight into the Iconic head, which is hitting my Mesa oversized cabinet in the room and then into the 2-Notes Torpedo Captor X for a better audio representation on your side. Again, using the Mesa oversized cabinet. So let's begin. Now, if you've been here before, I am on the neck pickup because that's my favorite for cleans. I also like kind of a lot of low end on my cleans. Not a lot of mids. And highs kind of vary. Now this is for a clean tone. We'll get to the crunch with the green as well. Actually, I'm going to throw some reverb on there because this is the only thing I really kind of dislike about this amplifier, and it's not the end of the world, but I wish the reverb had was on its own channels or was foot switchable because it's a shared. We're just going to kind of turn it up to give you that clean tone. you to death with the clean stuff, but I just wanted to show you that it does it, and it does it just fine. Not my favorite clean tones, but if you're buying this amplifier, you're most likely not buying it for the cleans. Now, I'm going to turn the reverb down. Actually, I'm just going to turn it off, because basically, much like the PV, oh, I'm sorry. If you switch your gain around with your volume, that's where you get your crunch on these. Now, if you like a little bit less gain, that's pretty gained out for the green channel, but it sounds freaking awesome, in my opinion. You can turn that down and still get some great crunch tones. Now, to me personally, this amplifier is pretty easy to dial in. It's just not complicated. I did a shootout with the PV5150 and this amplifier a few months back, if you missed that, and I got them to sound pretty dang close. Now, there are other people that can get them even closer because they have a little bit better ear than myself, but in a blind mix, I'll bet 9 out of 10 people could not tell this apart from a regular PV. And I am one of the 9 of the 10 that can't tell it apart. Now, that's just an opinion. I really do like this amplifier. And if you want to turn the crunch down some more on this green, you can do that. It gets pretty gained out for the green channel. Maybe you don't like that much gain, you just want to do something like this. That's really good for a pop punk sound. You still have that nice saturated tube tone that I really love. I've grown up loving those tones, but I mean, you got a lot of different tones you can get out of this thing. So it's just a matter of taste and taking the time to dial it in. And with that, let's move on to the red channel where I like to hang out. That's going to kind of get me into an area that I like to hang out in. So this is what that sounds like. This thing does exactly what I need it to do, and it's a sound that I very much like. But let me show you how much the gain can change with this channel. Most amplifiers, most tube amplifiers are going to be very noisy when you're sitting next to them, even if I've got a noise gate connected. But that brings me to a good point. Let's check the noise gate. The noise gate on this amplifier only works on the red channel, so channel 2. Now, as you can hear, that noise gate's very noisy. I turned it off with my amp switcher just so I can speak through this part. But it's not that the noise gate doesn't work, because it does work well. I've used this in practice with a drummer and another guitarist, and it works just fine if you're not standing right next to it. Now, I don't have any pedals connected to it. I have my own noise gate that I like, but this one, in the sake of this demo and sitting in this room that's not very big, this thing doesn't really do me any good. So now I've got max gain, and burn. Now, to me, that would come across as uncontrollable with the gain all the way maxed out and the burn, but maybe there's someone out there that knows how to tame that kind of gain. I'm not the guy. That's okay. So let me show you what the burn sounds like with the riff, and then I'll turn it off and see if you can hear the difference. My opinion, the burn's going to be better for you guys doing the leads and the solos to give you a decibel boost. It's called burn, which is just a boost, but it's not your typical kind of boost that you'd run into an amplifier. It's a decibel boost. So you're just going to get a little bit of a volume bump. This amplifier also comes with a quarter power switch. So if you're trying to be quiet because you got little kids sleeping or neighbors and thin walls or, whatever your situation, you can turn it down with that. So check this out. And if you really want to scare the crap out of them, crank it back on. Pretty tight and responsive amplifier. My only true gripe about this amplifier is the reverb being shared. Now, is that the end of the world? No, absolutely not. I don't even hardly use it, so I don't know why I actually care about that. I just wish that was a little bit separate. But in all reality, this is a modern 5150, modern 6505 at the most affordable price for a full-size tube amplifier, a high-gain tube amplifier. The only other one in this price range right now that I can find, that I know of, full size, not 50 watts, not less. This is an 80 watt. The only other one that's in that same price range is the PRS Archon. And I don't know anything about that amplifier. I would like to get my hands on that one of these days and try that, but that time has not come yet, and it will one day. So you got the PRS, you got the EVH, if you're in that $1,000 price range, or you can hit the used market and see what you can find. And you know what? You can find a lot of great tube amplifiers used. I know people are nervous to buy them that way, but almost all of mine have been used. So buyer beware, do your due diligence, test stuff out with people if you can. But I very much recommend this amplifier. I think it's a great addition from EVH. I think it's the most affordable of the larger amplifiers, and I think it really does sound good. It's not the PV, it's a more modern version of the PV 5150s. James Brown created this. If you don't know who James Brown is, he created the PV 5150. So tell me it sounds bad. Some of you might, I don't know. And you know what? That's your opinion. That's okay, because music is subjective. Tones are subjective. You like what you like, and that's okay. So don't think of this as a competition. And just because I said I like it, it doesn't mean you will like it. So keep that in your mind too. But anyway, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed checking out the EVH Iconic as much as I enjoy playing through it. I really do think this is a great sounding amplifier, and it's a great rendition to the PVs. And I very much enjoy this. So if you get the opportunity to try one before you knock it, because it really is a fantastic amplifier. It might take you a second to dial in to find what you like, because it dials in differently than the PVs. But to spend a few minutes with it, I would imagine you can find some tones you like, especially through this Mesa cab. It sounds huge, and I just love this oversized cabinet. It's just very big sounding, but this is very tight, very modern, has a lot of different options. Yeah, so thanks again. I really do appreciate you hanging out. Take care, and I'll see you soon.